Hello everyone and welcome back to Sketching with Shaw. Today we're going to be checking out Krita for beginners. So the first thing you're going to see when you load up Krita is going to be this page right here. It's going to say your recent images, and if you're new to Krita you're just not going to have any, so it's going to be blank like it is here. And to create a new image, all you're going to want to do is hit new image, and a little screen is going to pop up, but for some reason it's not showing it in my recording. It's showing it on my screen but not in my recording. But I promise when you hit new image, a little box is going to pop up right here, and you can put your width and height and everything in, and then just hit create. And after you click a new image, this is what the default screen is going to look like. So this is the default canvas. Now I do have a Huey on tablet, so I can just hit one of my buttons on my pen and this brings up this little menu right here, and in this menu I can turn my canvas left or right depending on where I want to turn it, or I can increase the size or zoom in with the bottom bar there. It also has a few default brushes that I can choose from. The main ones I like using is the eraser, airbrush, and this pencil brush down here. But the first things we're going to notice is all of our brushes is down here to the right. If I scroll down right here, you can see there's a lot of brushes to choose from. Some of them are just normal brushes, some of them have textures like some of these right here, and then some of them smudge and stuff like that. Some of them are just patterns. But you see there's a ton to choose from. And then above the brushes, so right here, this is all of your layers. So this is your background layer and then your paint layer. So say if I draw something, I'm going to just select black up here in my color selector wheel. And then click a brush, I'm going to just go with the one it already has. And say if I draw something, we can go over here to our layers and then turn that down. And then say if we add a new layer, which we can do by hitting this plus sign right here. Say that was our sketch layer, and now we can go in and do our line art over our sketch layer. So that's how you turn your sketch layer down like that, so you can tell the difference between your sketch and your finished line art. But I'm going to just hit undo to undo all that, which you can do by simply tapping these arrows up here, this undos and this redos. Or for a shortcut, you can hit Control Z to undo or Control Shift Z to redo. So that's really up to you how you want to do that. And like I said a second ago, this is where your color selector is going to be at. So you can change this to all sorts of different colors. And your white's always going to be in the bottom left, and the black's always going to be at the top. And then whatever color you're near is going to be down here in the right. And if we look up here, this controls the size of our brush. So if we look right here, it's a little brush, or we can make it a lot bigger. Or for a shortcut, you can hold shift and then drag your pen left or right, so you ain't got to keep coming up here to the size thing and just keep redoing it. Just saves you a little bit of extra time. And then this right here, this controls the opacity of your pen. So if you just want to start with your opacity low and you don't want to turn your opacity down when you get done drawing over here like this, you can just automatically turn the opacity down up here. And right here, this is just an eraser mode. So say if you were on your brush and have something drawn, you can just click that and it turns the eraser on. You can just click it off, then you can go back to drawing. So you don't have to switch from a pen to an eraser back to a pen when you're wanting to draw. Or if you're in the middle of drawing your sketch and say you mess up and you don't want to keep switching from your pen to your eraser, say I messed up right here, you can just hit slash and it'll actually change to your last brush, and then you can hit slash again, so it transforms from your current brush to your previous brush. That way you can keep your brush on the canvas. As y'all can see, I'm switching super fast back in between. That saves you from going up here and clicking the eraser, or going down here and clicking the brush presets. So just hit slash, boom, it transforms back to your old brush. Hit slash again, now you're back to your pen. Probably the best tip I'm going to give you in this video, honestly. And then what these three buttons right here are going to do, if we turn this one on right here, this is going to put a line, and what's going to happen is when you draw, it's just going to mirror what you draw horizontally. But if we turn that one off and turn this one on, it's going to mimic what you do horizontally. What I draw on top, it mimics on the bottom. So let's turn that one off, but you can have them both going. So say you draw in one corner, it's going to draw in every single corner, as y'all can see there. Or you can have the third one turned on, and what this is going to do, pretty much going to turn your canvas into like a pattern. drew like a smiley face, well now it's going to be a pattern of a smiley face. But as you see, it turns it into a whole pattern across the canvas. But you can deselect that and it turns it back to your normal canvas. And another useful shortcut for when you're drawing, once you're drawing something for so long, your eye kind of tricks you into believing what you're looking at is correct, even though if it isn't. So a quick way you can check your proportions is just hitting M on your keyboard, and that'll quickly mirror your image. So that's a quick little shortcut, so you can check your proportions, draw you in a nose, flip it, see if it looks right compared to say the eyes or something like that, or the mouth. Boom, you can just flip it and be like, oh well, that eye don't look right. Erase it, redraw it, and then flip it again to see if your new eye looks any better. Also, you can change your brush by clicking up here, but I never really use this honestly. I just click whatever brush I want to use down in the bottom right. And then of course, file up here, this is where you save and all that and everything. If you click Windows, like I said, when I click Windows it doesn't pop up my stuff, but I promise when you click this, a window will pop up with settings in it. You're going to want to click Workspace, and then from there it will show you another window with all of the different things. So if you want to go to animation, you can. I'll click that, and as you see, it transformed over to the animation screen. Even though y'all can't see the settings in my recording, it shows up on my screen when I'm actually in this. So I don't know. If y'all know how to fix that, please tell me in the comments, because that is driving me crazy. But I have a whole video on how to animate using Krita, so if y'all want to learn the animation portion, I highly recommend going to see that video. But I'm going to hop back over to the default workspace. And now that we're back in the default workspace, we're going to start taking a look at some of the tools we got going on over here in the left. So our first one obviously is going to be our brush. This is what we're going to use to draw everything, as you'll see right here. There's the line tool, and this is pretty much self-explanatory. Wherever you draw, it's going to just create a basic line for you. Then there's the square. Obviously it does square lines. Circles, they're pretty much all self-explanatory. And then this one right here, this one is a click and drop. So wherever you click your line is where it's going to put a point. And then wherever you click again, it's going to put another point until you connect it with where you start, and then it will put the whole thing down as a line. And then the next one right here, this is a curve tool. So you drop in a line, then you can kind of curve it around. But let's move on to some of the selection tools. First we got the rectangle or square selection tool. Pretty much simple. That's just what it's going to do, is going to select an area. And when you have an area selected, if you switch back to your brush and select a brush, you can see you will only be able to draw within that selected area. So y'all see I'm drawing all these crazy lines, but it's only staying in this selected square. And then if you go back to your selection tool, if you hold shift, you can actually add to your selection. See, when I'm not hitting shift, there's no plus sign in the little square, but when I hit shift, y'all see the little plus sign gets added. Now if we go back to our brush, we can see now we can draw over here, but once again it's not going outside the dotted line. Now if we hit Alt, you'll see a minus sign pops up. You can probably imagine what that will do. That's going to deselect an area from your selection. And now once again, if we go back to our brush, you will see I'm no longer able to draw in the area I was able to draw in a while ago, because we deselected that area. And to unselect an area, you can just tap anywhere on your screen, but if you drag, it's going to create another little area. So don't drag, just simply click. That's pretty much the fastest way to get rid of it. And pretty much all these are going to do the same thing. This is a circle selection tool. It can do the exact same thing the square one can. This one is a drag and drop, just like the other tool I showed you up here a while ago, like this one. Once again, the same selections as the circle and the square, but the most useful one is going to be this one right here. And what this one does, if I just deselect that area, what this one does is you can click and draw exactly where you want your lines to be at. You just boom, draw right there, and then say if I wanted to color that in, click a paintbrush down here, and say I want to color it in with like a skin tone type color. You just got to select our brush. And the way you can select your brush is you can click it over here, or say I'm on something else, you can just hit B and it'll switch straight to your brush. Then just like before, it's only going to fill in that area. So this is good for putting in your base tone colors, your base layer, stuff like that. Just go back to your selection tool, and then just tap and it'll deselect that area. Then you can hit the little hand over here, and what that will do is this will be able to drag your canvas anywhere you want. There's a text tool up here at the top, right there. You can tap and drag to make an area, and then a screen's going to pop up. I don't know if this is going to pop up in the recording, but it's just a little box. You just type in what you want. I'm going to just put hi YouTube, and then boom, when I hit save, it'll pop up in your little text box saying whatever you just typed. So if you hit Control Space, you can use that with your pen. Drag your pen up to zoom in, drag your pen down to zoom out. That will save you a little bit of time. So say you're sitting here drawing, but you don't want to keep going over here to your color selector to get all your colors, so you put out a little palette. Now what you can do, instead of going over here to click your color picker, because this is what this is, if I just click that, you'll see it switch to blue or green, yellow, red. But to save time from switching from this and back to your brush all the time over here in the settings, if you're on your brush, you can just hold Control, and you see it automatically switches. If I'm sitting there pushing Control or letting go of it, it'll automatically switch to your color picker. Even though it's not selected on my tools, you see my brush is still selected. So I can just boom, hit green, go back to drawing, hold Control, boom, got yellow. Now I got red. So that'll save you time, once again, from switching back and forth in these menus. And then if you quickly want to fill an area, you can use the fill bucket right here. That'll fill in any selected area you have. Or if you want to switch fastly, say I'm on the brush, you can just hit F on your keyboard and it'll switch to the fill bucket instantly, and then hit B to go back to brush. Another method for switching between your brush and your eraser is just tapping E, and tap E again. That'll switch from your brush to your eraser. So if you don't want to do the slash method like I said before, so if you want a different brush for your backup, you can just use E as a shortcut instead. But let's say you're sitting here drawing and you're zoomed in, so you're not really being able to see the whole image. So you sit here and you draw you an arm, so you're like, man, that's a really nice arm, and then you back out and you realize that your arm is totally too small. What you can do to fix that, instead of having to erase it and redraw it, you can click the lasso tool. This is why I said you're going to be using the lasso tool a lot. Boom, you can draw around whatever it is you want to fix. And then if we click this tool right here, this is the resize tool. You can click this arrow right here, and if you hold shift, it's going to keep the same proportions. So you see, if I hold this line right here, it's going to drag it out wide, but you're not going to want that. So you hold shift, and it's not going to distort it. That will also save you a lot of time. So say you want to add reference images into Krita, so you want to have, like, say, a reference image right here of something you're wanting to draw. What you're going to want to do is open a folder with whatever pics you want to use for your drawing. So say I want to draw Homer Simpson, I can just click and drag him over into this, and a little menu will pop up. Once again, I don't know if this is going to pop up in the video, but one of the options says insert as reference image. Now once you click that, boom, your reference image is just going to get added. Whoops, I accidentally twisted him there a little bit. But then you can make it whatever size and move it wherever you want it. And to get rid of your reference image, you can left click it and then right click it, and then just hit cut, and then boom, it gets rid of your reference image. Like I said, I don't know if all those little windows are going to pop up in the video, but I promise you, if you listen to the video and hit the same buttons I am, you will see the menus I'm talking about, and they're all pretty self-explanatory. Alright, we checked out the resizing tool, but let's say we don't want to resize it, we just want to move something. You can just hit this tool right here, and this will simply just move it. This does not resize it or anything like that, it just moves the object. And another tip I want to add quickly, say you have a wobbly hand, so you see my hand's wobbling quite a bit right there. If we actually go over here to tool options, we can go brush smoothing, click that, click basic, and turn stabilizer on. And what you're going to see is, look at that, even though I'm shaking, y'all can see my little dot shaking, not shaking as nearly as much. So once you turn that on, you can get nice flowy lines without it being all jaggy like this. Now you can also turn the delay up so you have a lot more delay if you want super smooth lines, or in reverse you can turn it down so you ain't got as much control over it. But I like to keep mine at around 7. Gives it a nice flow without being too restrictive. So that's how you get smoother lines in Krita, is using this stabilizer in tool settings. But you got to make sure you have a brush selected, and you can move any of these menus. So you can move your brushes, your layers, or your color selector, anything that's over here. You can just click, drag, move anywhere you want to, but I just like leaving mine in the default positions. And if you're wondering what brushes I like to use when I'm sketching, I like to just use this one because I don't want any line weight in my sketch. So I'll click this one. Now I like to use a nice light blue when I'm sketching. I like to turn the opacity just a little bit down. Then I'll throw in whatever I'm sketching. I guess I'm drawing the bat, but and then when I do my line art, I usually like to use this one right here, and then switch to black. And then what this one is going to do is, you see it has line variation to it, so it's just not going to be one continuous size like say this one would be. This is just one size. It don't get any bigger or smaller. And if you're wondering why your sketches are looking flat, that might be the reason why. You might just be using one size brush. So to add a little bit of life to your lines, you're going to want to get a brush that has pressure sensitivity to it. And then I'll use that brush to come in and do my line art. And then if I wanted to add shadows or anything like that, I like to use the airbrush, and I combine the airbrush with the lasso tool. So say I'm just going to draw this in right here real quick. I'm being super fast, I ain't being too precise with it. Then we click the airbrush, turn the size down a little bit. So say I wanted to add some shadows over here to this side, maybe a little bit right here. It will only shade inside the selected area, not outside of it. But those are all of the main brushes I like to use. So when I'm doing my sketch, I like to use this one right here, the basic brush number 1. Then when I'm doing my line art, basic 5 size brush. And then when I'm doing shading or anything like that, using the airbrush. And like I said earlier, there's tons of brushes, so I can't recommend all of them because I don't know y'all's drawing style and what y'all like to use and what y'all like to do. So y'all are going to have to just get into Krita, test some of these brushes out, see how you like them. Like this one right here, that's a funky little texture. And then like I said, all of these have different textures and do different things. And if we scroll all the way down to the bottom down here, there's even some, like these stamps right here, they make mountains. Look at that. You can have yourself a whole mountain range in the matter of seconds. Or there's like one for like kind of a water texture. So like, look at that. Look, that looks like the top of a lake already. There's one for grass. So if you're a beginner, this will help you. More professionals kind of just draw the stuff themselves, but like I said, for beginners, some of these tools can help you. I don't really use any of them, but like I said, you're just going to get in. Some of them are just patterns, like this heart one right here. Batman done seen Catwoman. You're just going to have to get in, see what brushes you like using, test them all out. Like I said, I showed you the main ones I like using. And once you're done with your drawing, all you got to do, click up here, File, and then just click Save Image, and then bada boom, you have yourself a finished image. And I went over most of the shortcuts that I know. If there's any that I missed that y'all like using, please tell me in the comments. And who knows, I might make a whole video showcasing all of the Krita shortcuts. But that pretty much sums up today's video. So if y'all want to see more Krita content, please let me know in the comments. Or if you have any art you'd love to share with me, I'd love to see it over on my Instagram while I like it and share it to my page. But y'all already know, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see y'all next week.